What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today I want to talk to you about Virgin Galactic. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what's been coming out associated to the company and where it might be heading next. Before we get into any of that, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that said, let's get right to it. So on Friday, it did go down 1.59%. Very little volume, so 7.9 million shares were traded. 10.2 is the average. Most of the transactions being done today have been just swing traders, algorithmic trading, and or shorting. And you can tell that based off of this. I've brought this up in the past, many videos in fact, just how institutions haven't really been looking at Virgin over this last little bit. Last time it kind of caught their interest during Q3, as did it with me. It caught my interest massively. Like, it was a very surprise raise on their Q4. They kind of had better than anticipated revenue. I think a lot of people were anticipating more of a reversal, of course, on the stock price. But since then, it's been the status quo. So nothing really crazy. And plus their recent earnings wasn't anything really to write home about. So I think all in all, institutions have since just forgotten about it once again. And dark pool though does seem to be a little bit more popular. Dark pool is linked to shorting. So of course, just kind of take note of this. As of late though, there hasn't really been any recent news. Unofficially though, there's been a lot of things coming out associated to Boeing going against Virgin, and maybe I think it's just showing roughly 45.6 million. I think that's just one of the two things that they're going after. But in reality, I think this definitely is not what Virgin investors want at this stage in the game. But you also do see some Form 4s that have been coming out, just indicating some insiders have been selling. It is transaction code F, so that is associated to taxes. So I'm not here to spread any FUD. I don't see any issue with that. So that's just me, not a financial advisor, of course. So you guys always do your own due diligence. So I think right now, just Virgin is stuck in a rut, and it is a very unfortunate thing because, like, if they were profitable, then yeah, they can go have at it, they can just stay the status quo, but they're burning through quite a lot of cash. And this is something I did bring up on my last video. Some people were kind of pointing out the fact that if you look on their financials, just their balance sheet, I was bringing up cash and cash equivalents, because when I'm looking at short-term stuff, yes, you do focus on cash and cash equivalents. A lot of people were bringing up inventory and just the short-term investments. So if you do factor that in, yeah, they're okay. They can survive at least like 2 quarters, but no matter what, they do and will need to dilute, as bad as that sounds. And 2024 has been relentless about any company not being to their peak performance efficiency wise, or if they are going to be diluting in the foreseeable future. And in Virgin's case, most likely they will, not this quarter or anything like that, but at least in the foreseeable future, they will be. And so that's kind of where investors are stuck at. And any company that is just primarily retail based is struggling massively. So you do need that institutional backing. And as of right now, I think it's just, there's too much risk for investors to get in. So I think that's kind of what is happening behind the scenes. Aside from that, there was this that was posted on their social media, on their Twitter. So it just shows Virgin Galactic will be heading into the Space Foundation's 39th Space Symposium in Colorado Springs. So that's going to be between April the 8th and the 11th. So maybe there might be some surprise coming out from that. We can only hope, but ultimately it just probably will be some basic PR stuff. And so let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. So getting right to it though, like I mentioned already, shorts have been really doubling down on Virgin, and it is very close to getting to like the all-time highs. So all-time high so far, it looks like, was back in July, and that was roughly about 27% short interest. Currently it is 24.5. So again, especially with what came out with the Feds yesterday, like if there isn't going to be any rate cuts, and Powell kind of does reiterate that mentality, then a lot of growth stocks such as Virgin is going to get hammered considerably. So again, that's something as well that's really affecting Virgin behind the scenes. Despite it closing red though, you do see shorts returning 66,000 shares. So kind of out of the blue, I'm not really sure why, maybe just to kind of free up some room over the weekend. Utilization is 79.28%, cost to borrow is 1.29%, and just to look on the Interactive Broker short availability does indicate around 900,000 shares is available to be shorted. And speaking on Interactive Broker course, I'll quickly pop over there to give you a good breakdown of some recent updates. So yesterday there was a analyst rating. I believe it was cut from $1.75 to now $1. Sell rating, Wells Fargo, Matthew, who does have a 80% success rating. That is very good coming from an analyst standpoint. So it does show 87 of his 109 recommendations had positive returns. So he seems to be one of those individuals to kind of focus on. And interestingly enough, prior to the whole Q3 momentum that really lured myself and other institutions in, but prior to that, I was saying that Virgin was going to be heading down to $1. I think it was beginning of October. That's when I did a video, October 2023. And so based on the technicals and just how much they were burning through, I did project that it was going to go to kind of where it is now, which is kind of extreme if you think about it. And as it stands, even looking at the Elliott Wave technicals, it does have a pivot point of $1.65. So right now Virgin is below that, well below that. So for as long as it is below $1.65, it is anticipated to get to this range, and it isn't too far off. So technically, I'll give you a quick overview on the actual support and resistance points right now before I get into options and whatever. But with it closing at $1.24, it is exactly on this S2. So we do know that's a very strong support. If it is to break and fully break, then yes, that Elliott Wave technicals is going to come to realization, because then it'll be trading between this S3 and this S2, so $1.05 to $1.24. Then if it does break this $1.05, you'll have that psychological support at that $1. And then aside from that, it might be fully in just free fall at that stage. And then especially with Virgin, any stock below $1 on the New York Stock Exchange, as well as NASDAQ, they both have separate rulings on that, but essentially they could get delisted. So it's a very finite trouble. It's kind of staring off of a virtual cliff. That's kind of like how I like to put it ultimately. So Virgin, I really did have a lot of high expectations for them. I even did say Q1 2024 onwards, like bigger and better things should be coming, but seems to be 2024 been very problematic for them. Even looking at options, virtually nobody's really getting into Virgin because the dollar value is just plummeted. $75,000 in calls being purchased versus 58 in puts. Sentiment wise, 49% of all the options being done today are optimistic, and of the call options that are being purchased, there's a consensus for it to be roughly above $1.50 versus looking at puts. Like even at this stage, do you see some consensus maybe around the $1 range, but nobody's really looking at Virgin through options. I think the only ones who are buying call options in reality are just shorts, and that is just them hedging, just on the mere chance essentially of Virgin really breaking out, then they could be hedged. But like I've said, I don't really see Virgin being a squeeze play just based off of the fundamentals that I did bring up here. So because cost to borrow is very cheap, utilization isn't even at 100%. So I think the fundamentals aren't really there even for a short squeeze play. Just the only thing that could really help is maybe a takeover or something of that fashion. So let me know your thoughts on that, and if you think maybe a takeover is a possibility in the foreseeable future or not. On the actual chart though, so just to give you a quick overview, and actually I do have Rivian up, so I'll quickly move over to Virgin. So on the actual chart, it is lower percentile of the Bollinger Band. It is very oversold on stochastic, so it is at around 2. So if there's a good piece of news that does come out, then you should see a rush of maybe, even if it is temporary, but you should see a rush of value investors getting in. But of course, you'll have to take note of a lot of these resistance levels. So $1.55, $1.74, and whatever else. Obviously, you guys can just pause it and read through it. But when it comes down to retail investors, though, retail definitely owns a majority of the float. I'll give you a quick overview of that while I'm quickly on here, and I have it up. So ownership of Virgin. So 157.09 million held by institutions, 33.6 by strategic entities, and then 209.32 million by retail, aka other. So retail does own majority of Virgin, which again, that might be a good thing, bad thing. I'll leave it up to you guys to make that determination. Also, on a side note, if you are looking for a lot of good compiled information of everything that I did mention on Interactive Brokers at least, click on the link in the description below or the comments to have all of this completely free. So make sure you guys take advantage of that in the description below. So like I said, I think right now there still is a lot of people that want Virgin to succeed. And if you think about it, like it's in somewhat uncharted territories. It does have a lot of good opportunities opportunity in the foreseeable future. But if you're one of those individuals that wants to catch the exact bottom, I do feel that there is a lot more downside to come, despite it kind of trending, as you can kind of see, despite it going down roughly over the last 6 months, 22%, 2024 down almost 50%, over the last 1 year down 61%. Despite all of that, I still do feel that there is more downside coming. Long term, it might be good, whether it be a takeover or actually if they just get their shit together and stop their cash burn as much as it is. But I think, again, Virgin, you need to add to your watch list or potentially have a small amount, but very, very risky. So make sure you guys do your own due diligence at the end of the day. Let me know your thoughts on Virgin. What do you think is going to be the next big catalyst? And Q1 numbers are just locked in. So do you think that they are good, bad, or what's your viewpoint on the Q1 earnings? But one final thing I just wanted to share with you, take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for an account with Moomoo, throw $100 at it, and they do give you 7 fractional shares of the 𝗪𝗧. So a $35 total value. So that's a pretty good return on investment just for throwing $100 at a new account. Plus, a lot of people really do like Moomoo's, I guess, information behind the scenes as well. So better for investing. Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And with that said, appreciate all of you watching.